finally, an immersive experience set in the Alien universe. Well, kind of. While Alien Rogue Insurrection started life as a VR title, this port is a decent attempt at delivering the experience that I wanted from an Alien game. However, there are some issues that keep me from being as excited as I want it to be. And part of the reason is the story. While it really isn't all that bad, I think that the story does hinge a little bit too much on the VR gimmick. The initial setup is fine and excellently sets up the self-insert protagonist, but the pacing is a little bit off. The early sections force you to stand around while dialogue from other characters or voice diaries play. While it does give you plenty of time to look around and take in the world, the awe factor does really fall a bit short in a conventional experience. I wanted to go forward and explore more, only to have to wait. Once we do enter the world, we encounter a very natural feeling tutorial. This encourages exploration and experimentation before we're finally introduced to the enemy. And yeah, I know we're fighting Xenos, we all know we're fighting Xenos. But the introduction to them immediately removed the tension for me. And while there are better build-ups later on, I think that I need to demonstrate something to you, or any other developer of an Alien game. Imagine your favorite legally distinct space hero and his fancy space gun. You enter a room. It's dark. It has the right music. What's that? An enemy. Then another one. And then another one. And when a big shot comes, you've kind of already blown your horror load. So now you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. But horror is like making love with a fine woman. The better the build-up, the bigger the finish. And luckily, the Alien universe kind of has a perfect tool to build up that big finish. So let's try that scenario again. Our hero entered the room. The sounds, the pulsing, the tracker, it's your heart beating. You hear it. Then, the tone. Something is sensed. This then builds in pace and pitch and builds the tension, making sure that no matter where you look, you're still unsure of where it is, because the tracker's showing you that it's right in front of you, but you can't see it. It's fucking genius. And then it reaches its pinnacle and sends shivers down your spine. Now, there are times when this game does get it right. I think that how they handle the nest scene in particular was really good. However, the overall game definitely favors action rather than having fewer, more tense interactions with more nimble, but fragile xenomorphs. Now, I like action, and maybe Alien Isolation will give me the build-up that I want from an Alien game. But a thing that would have helped is to have the motion sensor sounds more audible at all times when not in use. Now, there is a setting specifically for it, but it only gives you a slight beep that might turn you around and force you to pull it out. But if you have the setting on, I essentially want it to act like it's in your hand to further encourage the use, rather than throwing enemy after enemy or just going through pitch dark halls, which I really don't find scary. But overall, I think it does get the horror elements a bit more right than Colonial Marines, but just barely. At least until you start fighting the xenomorphs properly. Combat is mid. The Xenos all attack the same way and are very spongy. Your 10mm pulse rifle that has explosive rounds still needs about a third of the magazine to take down one xenomorph. The shotgun and pistol also need a decent amount of ammo in order to take down an enemy, though I took quite a liking to the pistol, This is because it was very quick to fire and kill a Xenomorph, despite the frequent reloads. This honestly made it a pretty viable primary, rather than a reliable last resort. VR gimmicks have also left their mark, though for the most part I found it quite charming, especially with the simple electricity puzzles that could provide for a tense escape in the right situation, though some of the time the quick time events feel a little unnecessary. There is something about them in this game that makes the interaction with the in-game world feel a little bit more physical, which makes sense to add to a VR title, and is used reasonably sparingly, mostly enhancing how you interact with this world. And boy, does the world that we wind up exploring and interacting with look good. It does feel a bit dated at times, perhaps a bit plasticky, especially in certain places, particularly corpses, but I think this is likely a result from building it for a VR environment. Plus, I actually think that the flaws fit the theme. Music is minimal, mainly being ambient, which helps build mood and tension, and the voice acting is solid. Gun sounds are fine, of course, and the favorite is still the iconic pulse rifle. When it comes to accessibility, it honestly isn't the best. There are subtitles, but no in-game way to change either the written or spoken languages. There are 4 difficulties that can be changed at any time, as well as full remapping of both mouse and keyboard, as well as the ability to change controller inputs. The non-VR title is available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and digitally on Steam and the Epic Games Store. The settings have a good amount of adjustments, and some options I haven't seen in other titles, which does bode well for its future. I also failed to find any bugs, so I guess it's just not another bug hunt. I do tend to do very little research when going into games, and if I had known that this had been a port going in, I probably would have played it on VR, as I do think that the gimmick of being immersed in a VR world would have helped with the overall experience, but alas, this is the version that I played, and for the most part, I found the experience fine. It still doesn't quite capture the intense immersion that I was talking about when I played Colonial Marines, and that is largely due to the delivery. While undoubtedly this would have been enhanced by VR, the odd quirks with the gameplay and the feel of the combat just doesn't allow me to quite bridge the gap to suspend my disbelief. The story is fine for an action game. It's rather short, but I'm a bit more forgiving of that, especially since it's a part 1 of a series and priced accordingly. So does this mean that it's better than Colonial Marines? Well, kind of. While both games could trade blows when it comes to that immersion feel, Rogue Incursion does feel a bit more authentic to the horror. And ultimately, that's what I want. The Xenos may just be dumb, but not having a story that's directly related to one of the most famous movies of all time is a much smarter option, which I think allows the game to be something that I'm more likely to recommend. So I think it gets a meh. It's average, but it is close to being a decent game, and I think if they had handled combat a little bit better, it would be there. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Check out my last review on Terradrome Reign of Legends, and consider subscribing. Till then, happy Halloween. I'll see you on the next one, and be careful out there.